A kid in India grinds for nearly 2 decades through school, junior college, and degree just to become the kind of graduate a multinational firm would hire. Today, I can rent most of that exact output from my laptop for about $100 a month. I work in tech outside India. I use AI every single day, not as a glorified search engine, but as a coding partner. On most of what I throw at it, it does better than a lot of experienced people I have worked with so far. It's faster, it's infinitely patient, it has zero ego, no personality friction whatsoever, does not have bad days, and does not take breaks. If you ever managed a team, you know exactly what that adds up to. Half of what an IT services firm actually bills for isn't work itself, it's the overhead around it. The AI delivers that output and skips the overhead entirely. If you're thinking this is the story about India losing to AI, it's not. India is going to be fine. In fact, better than fine. India's digital infrastructure, such as cheap data, smartphones everywhere, payment that reach the last mile, makes it uniquely easy to deliver AI to people who have never had access to it. Expertise that used to cost money, now available to everyone with a phone. Example, farmers are already getting advice in their own language through Sarvam and Bhashini as well as WhatsApp. The national story, to me, looks very optimistic. But this video is for the credentialed urban salaried professionals. Example, an engineer in a GCC, the CAs, the law professionals working in back offices, the mid-level IT services manager, so on and so forth. The exact people who built India's middle class over the last 30 years. Keeping their heads down, with EMIs running, always eyes on the next review cycle. My concern is, not many are telling you what's coming your way. The Wall Street isn't where this story lives, but it's where the global capital signals what it actually believes. And over the last 6 months, something really interesting happened. Markets took a hit on geopolitical tensions, as we all know. Then, everything bounced back except one sector. Example, S&P up over 5%, Nasdaq 100 up over 5%, software sector ETFs down 25%. Same window, opposite direction. The market isn't confused. It's already made its call. And yet, every boardroom right now is pushing the same comforting story. AI creates more jobs than it destroys. Human cognitive output has a quality AI cannot touch. Maybe the first one is even true, probably is over time. Every major technology wave has eventually created more than it took away. But that's a 20-year argument, and your EMI is due next month. The industry adjusts to its own timeline, not yours. And we have been betting our whole careers on the second one, the quality gap between us and the machine. That's our insurance policy. That's the reason we got our degrees. And I am here to tell you, it's no longer true. Let me give you one specific case. There is an unreleased AI model from Anthropic, internally called as Mythos. Recently, it found a 27-year-old vulnerability in an operating system called OpenBSD. Here is why that matters. OpenBSD is a global gold standard for careful human code review. Universities literally teach it as the textbook example of how to do security right. Since 1996, a generation of the sharpest human security engineers alive has been reviewing this code line by line. An AI model read that exact same lines and saw what none of them ever saw for 27 years. The most carefully reviewed code on the planet was carrying a bug a machine could spot, but an entire generation of human experts could not. If that's not quality gap closing, I don't know what is. And once the quality argument is gone, what's left is the price. And we all know who wins that one. India has over 600 million workers. Only around 30 million sit in the formal tax-paying salaried class. Inside that, one load-bearing cluster of knowledge workers which involves IT services, BPOs, GCCs, law firms, accounting, and financial services. IT services alone is around 5 million people. They carry the weight of the whole system, in my opinion, and they are concentrated in a handful of major Indian cities. If you're in that cluster, 3 things are happening to you right now. The arbitrage we have benefited from is collapsing. For 30 years, India sold the world one thing: smart, English-speaking minds at a fraction of Western price. AI is beating us at our own game. AI might not wipe out human beings, but it wipes out that specific arbitrage advantage. AI can now draft a contract, reconcile a ledger, write code, and summarize a memo close enough to a Tier 1 firm standard. And here is the piece not many like to name. When a services firm bills $3,000 for one engineer's output, only a fraction of that actually pays the engineer. The rest is a sort of coordination tax: team leads, managers, HR, attrition, and managing the bench. In my experience, that's about 30 to 50% of the whole client's bill. AI does not need any of that. It's reliable individually. It does not need to be managed in the traditional sense. Replace that engineer with AI, the headcount goes, so does everything built around it, the whole of the support system. Most high-paying Indian jobs aren't paid for originality or ingenuity. They're paid for dependable, standardized output, which is exactly what AI replicates. And for the jobs that genuinely needed ingenuity, such as drug discovery or life sciences research, AI is already in that room too. In India, the housing stack is built on top of knowledge economy. For a while now, banks assumed IT jobs were recession-proof. Builders priced the most expensive neighborhoods on that assumption. People's lifestyles and standard of living built on assumed stability of the knowledge economy. According to RBI, the bank credit outstanding to real estate is over 28 lakh crore rupees. And a disproportionate chunk of these borrowers live in these cities holding these jobs we have just discussed. Picture a 20% contraction in that sector over 3 to 5 years. It's not a crash, but it is a quite decade-long bleeding of middle-class wealth. And in my books, that's scarier than a crash because it does not announce itself with a deadline. What do educational institutions fundamentally do? They certify knowledge. Spend years acquiring knowledge, get a piece of paper proving that you have it, then go exchange that paper for a salary and subsequently a career. That has been the deal for decades. Put AI in the same exam you sat to get your degree, it passes probably better than you did. And I don't need to hire a graduate. My $100 a month subscription outperforms the finished product of the entire system most of the time. Acquiring knowledge as a career strategy just stopped being enough. Big firms are already flattening. 5 people with AI now do the work of 100. As far as I understand, nobody has a roadmap. Not me, not your CEO, not the guy with the newsletter. Anyone selling you that right now are selling you the certainty they don't have. What I know for sure though is if you work on a computer, ignoring AI is not an option. It already does most things faster than most of us. And if you're thinking, well, life will find a way and we'll all be okay, maybe you're right, probably even over a long period of time. But that we might not include you and me because the fix takes time and the time we might not have in our hands. So here is what I would do. As soon as possible, not next month, this weekend, open one of these mainstream models and feed it your actual work. The contracts, the code, the memos, the slides, the spreadsheets, whatever is applicable. My guess, it'll surprise you, maybe even shock you. Something that would have taken you an afternoon done in minutes. And here is the kicker: the quality might be better than what you would have produced yourself. That can scare any one of us. Maybe that's exactly what's needed, because that's where what now begins in your mind. 20 years of school, exams, and credentials to produce work I can now get from a laptop for $100 a month subscription. That's not a prediction, it's a fact. What happens next depends on who looked at this early and who found it later. If you're already in this situation, what are you seeing? What are you trying personally? What are you scared of? Leave it in the comments, especially if you haven't figured it out, because I haven't fully either. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious.